The history of humankind and nature are inextricably linked. Nature forms the basis for life and has served as our inspiration and source of knowledge since the dawn of civilization. For thousands of years, we've passed down our knowledge from one generation to the next. And like a book without end, nature leads us constantly on to make new discoveries about life and about ourselves. Like nature, cultures are constantly changing. They emerge, then they flourish, only to disappear once more into oblivion. Scattered across the globe, astonishing examples can be found of both human creation and nature's transformative processes. They're part of our cultural and natural heritage. But time and again, human beings destroy themselves, their work, and the basis of their very lives. After the devastation of the Second World War, several states came together in unison. They shared the conviction that lasting peace could not be solely based on political and economic arrangements, but rather on the spiritual and moral solidarity of humankind.
The great and terrible war which has now ended.
And so in November 1945, 37 states signed an agreement to establish the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO.
In consequence thereof, they do hereby create the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization.
Организация Объединенных Наций по вопросам образования и науки ставит задачей.
The joint rescue operation to save the Abu Simbel temples in Egypt that threatened to fall victim to the Aswan High Dam was an important step that led to the adoption of the World Heritage Convention. The aim of this international convention, which was adopted at UNESCO in 1972, is to recognize cultural and natural assets of outstanding universal value as belonging to the heritage of all humanity and to preserve them for future generations.
A natural heritage of outstanding universal value.
The central and revolutionary idea of the convention is to place this heritage in the care of all humankind, regardless of political, economic or religious divisions. Today, there are over 1,000 sites on the World Heritage List in more than 160 countries. In Switzerland, more than 10 sites have been inscribed on the World Heritage List of UNESCO. They represent testaments to our cultural heritage spanning thousands of years. Some of them are examples of outstanding buildings, engineering, and urban development. Some are World Heritage Sites with extraordinary ecosystems and geological features. Through them, we have a unique opportunity to view the history of the world and how life has evolved over the centuries. They allow us to understand our past and to gather evidence about long-gone civilizations. And they astound us with the beauty created by both man and nature. All of these places are part of the natural and cultural history of our planet. Links in a chain connecting the past with the future. The notion of safeguarding and protecting the world heritage of all humankind remains a challenge that only we can meet. To make this idea reality, a collective, ongoing commitment is required. The legacy of humanity now lies in our hands. Did you ever wish you could go back in time? Back to the most distant past, millions of years ago, long before the appearance of our earliest ancestors, long before the existence of any of the animals we know today, even long before the famous dinosaurs. Welcome to the heart of Monte San Giorgio, a natural pyramid made up of layers of rock, layers that reveal the history of our Earth. Shh, silence please. Can you hear her? Mother Africa. Yes, I know we're in the center of Europe, but millions of years ago the rocks you see surfacing here at Monte San Giorgio were part of the Adriatic Plate, an outcrop of the African Plate. We're at the border between Switzerland and Italy, in mountainous and richly forested Helvetia. What you see around me was once a lagoon in the great Tethys Ocean, at a time when Europe, the Americas, Africa and Asia all belonged to a single continent called Pangaea. On this ocean floor, over millions of years, layers and layers of mud, carcasses of animals, debris of plants, slowly piled up, one on top of the other, like thousands of sheets of paper. Then the Earth's landscape began to change. Islands, rock masses, and mountain chains rose from the sea. Former ocean floors became covered by plants and trees. They made it through glaciations and warmer periods, always keeping their secrets. What did actually happen after the beginnings, after the primordial soup? How did we become what we are today? Mammals, fish, birds, plants. Here in the rocks of Monte San Giorgio, we discovered some pieces of the gigantic puzzle that's the story of our planet. Many organisms populated the Earth for millions of years and then disappeared, but they left traces that can still be found in glaciers, peat, amber, or as here, in rocks. These traces enable us to rediscover them and sometimes to follow their evolution. In Monte San Giorgio, fossils from the Triassic period are incredibly well preserved. There's no other place we know of on the planet which contains them in such density and diversity. These fossils enable us to better understand where we and the world around us come from. Entire ecosystems, animals and plants have left their traces in these rocks, enabling us to follow the course of evolution through millions of years, just as in a great book on the history of our past. The past and the present meet here, in the fascinating research being carried out on Monte San Giorgio. At Hotelgasse number 10, where Bern's smart set now dance the night away under strobe lights, the Hôtel de Musique opened its doors in 1770. A group of young men from Bernese patrician families who'd served in the Dutch army wanted to add some joie de vivre to their Protestant city. They built their club, a hall for receptions, music and dancing, in the style of the Dutch social clubs they'd visited. The conservative city fathers in the town council, however, opposed their theatre project. As a result, the Grande Société de Berne had a theatre, but could not stage plays for almost 3 decades. The Puritan regime held sway until French troops occupied the Swiss Confederation at the end of the 18th century, when plays were finally performed on a regular basis, and the theatre earned its popular nicknames of du théâtre or Dudu, which are used to this day. For the next 100 years, it was Bern's municipal theatre. The tradition of using the bel étage of the Cercle de la Grande Société for cultural, political and social gatherings has been kept alive for centuries. State visitors, politicians, business leaders and private parties are still waited on with discretion at the bel étage. This venerable institution also houses the Lorenzini, one of the most famous bars in Bern. When the Hôtel de Musique was built by architect Niklaus Sprungli, it sparked a rift between lovers of popular culture and defenders of high culture. But over the centuries it succeeded in adapting to the zeitgeist. Today the Hôtel de Musique is a meeting point for social life, culture and culinary excellence, and the vibrant centre of Bern's self-assured party scene.